up for doing it again. I do like the idea of talking about that tournament as well, because cyber shoes, man, I was not sold on them at all until they told me something about them.
Well, what was that thing? What was the thing that they told you?
Sickness. Apparently they can literally stop VR sickness. And I was like, really? And they said, yeah, there's like people who have tested them who have had VR sickness because they're kind of using their feet as motion, and obviously the turning's then done with, well, it can be done with the seat. When we done our tournament, we had to physically turn, didn't we? We weren't allowed to.
That was it. They were heavily encouraging us not to use the stick in any form or manner.
Yeah. It's very hard not to, like, it's natural to.
I don't know how you. I wasn't able to personally play without using the stick a little bit. It just didn't work. They never worked for me, which I don't think is like you and I were talking about pre-stream. My Bluetooth just tends the crap out a lot of me. So that those shoes, man. But VR accessories are kind of. I've never brought it up on a stream, but I always thought they were interesting. Not just cyber shoes, but like any of them, because I know you use the B-haptics quite a bit in your streams.
I love B-haptics, yeah.
Like, what's your thoughts on VR accessories as a whole? Because I got some, but I'd like to hear your thought first. Is kind of an idea as a whole on them.
When you say you've got some, do you get a lot sent to you that you just don't do anything with?
Well, it's interesting. Out of any like accessory, like you give me like a phone accessory, like I know this is remedial and it doesn't make sense, but you give me a case. It makes sense. It's very practical. You can give me some lighting in this room that's very practical as an accessory for streaming. VR accessories, like, do you ever get the feeling they're very faith-based? And not in a bad way, but you've got to really, like, have the right mentality to use VR accessories. Like, whether it's the B-haptic vest, which it's a rumble pad. Now, if you got the right faith and the right frame of mind, you'll get immersed and it's awesome. Cyber shoes, I feel like it's the same thing, like ProTube. They can be useful, but they all have their learning curves. They're not intuitive right away. And you got to have a lot of faith in them before you start loving them, I feel like. I can't just open a box of a VR accessory and fall in love with it. It takes quite a bit of use.
So B-haptics was the only one that actually did that, because apart from the connectivity that I had a certain issue with one of mine, I basically have to. It's funny you saying you can't get Bluetooth. I seem to not be able to get Bluetooth around my PC. So what I had to do was get an extension USB lead and have the Bluetooth out where I stand streaming. It's the only way they connect. Apart from that, that was, to me, it just enhances the game. Cyber shoes setup can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but in general, I don't use them very often. I wouldn't use them in my free time. And I've never really got away from that. And people who've asked me about them, I said, yeah, they're good, but they're not necessarily something I would go out and rush to spend money on. VR lenses, they seem to be a bit of the thing at the moment. I've probably had like 3 pairs sent to me, and one of them was like by a brand that everyone was saying was really good. Dude, I don't know whether it's my eyes or my nose or my forehead, but as soon as I put them in, my eyelashes are rubbing them all the time, and I'm like, I can't use them. So VR Cover have just sent me some, and they don't do that. They're very sunk in, or they're very thinner, a lot thinner. Yeah. So that's cool. That's nice. And then that's another product now. I can be like, actually, I do want to use this, because I remember being at some game shows and getting some voicemails, and people were actually asking me, like, how do you stop scratches on your lenses? Or more, how do you get rid of them? Well, ideally, you want to never get them. So they're the only, apart from blue light, that is probably the best reason for them, is to protect your lenses. But I don't know what people are rubbing them with, dude, because I just use these.
I always think of that too. Well, do I lose my VR card by saying this? But I just rub my lenses with my shirt. Do I lose a VR card for that?
Shocking. I don't think I've ever done that. I'm too scared. Like, if I ever get, like, it's not like I live near the beach, but if I ever get a little bit of a grain of sand or something, or a bit of dust on my lenses, dude,
I can confidently say since 2016 I've been rubbing my VR lenses with my shirt. So far, so good.
I'm just so scared. Like, have you ever had something that has a dead pixel?
My index has one right now.
It just bothers the shit out of me. There is 1,600 or something other pixels that are fine, but that one bloody pixel will.
Well, that's because it's always going to be in the center of your headset. You're not going to get a dead pixel on the outside. It's going to be right in the most annoying spot.
I just don't want to scratch on my lenses because I think that's what happened. I'll just constantly see the scratch. So I've always been very careful. Always been very careful. But yeah, I think the worst accessory that has aged is one called the 3D rudder.
That sounds familiar. I don't know. I don't remember that though.
All right, hold on.
Also, by the way, everyone, we're not sponsored by any. Well, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. I can't speak for GT, but I don't believe he is either.
Sorry?
We got to make that clarification. Are you sponsored by any of these guys? Because I'm not. Just want.
Oh, I'm sponsored by B Haptics. When I say sponsored, not full time, it'd be like, oh, can you make a video now and again?
Yeah, the B Haptics people are really awesome. I just think we should make that probably pretty clear as we start talking about accessories. That
yeah.
That I'm not. We aren't truly. I'm not affiliated with any of them. GT. I mean, I've worked with B Haptics before. When they send us stuff, sometimes we make videos for them, or they ask us to. We have a good relationship with them, but that's our degree of sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, they'd say to me, there's a new game coming out. Would I like to cover it using their equipment? And most of the time, I would have done it anyway. So I'm like, yeah, cool. But yeah, I do get offered. Talking about affiliation quickly. I started getting on TikTok, and I got a really big TikTok on there, a couple, and the stuff that comes through is so nothing to do with anything I'd ever use or anything I'm ever interested in. It is. I've had pants, I've had I don't know, some sort of hair cream, just stuff you're like, dude, does anyone actually ever pick up on this? Like, League of Legends was another one, and people were like, you should do it, but I'm like, I don't even play the game.
I don't know. Raid Shadow Legends. That's what everyone has to do.
Oh, is it that one? It might. I don't.
Yeah, you got to say Raid Shadow Legends, and then you're a legit streamer at that point.
Right. So this is the 3D rudder. Okay.
What is that?
So, right, hold on. So you got to remember, this was partly when I was like a mainly just PSVR channel. That's how I got started. This is a prototype, actually, before it was released. So that.
Wow.
Okay. I keep it literally for like, it's a bit of history, really. And they're actually bringing this out on Quest soon, or it is out now as a wireless version. And what was happening was people were using it and their feet were slipping all over the place. So then they brought out this prototype. And this is called the ground gripper. So I think all in all, and don't quote me on this, right? I'm pretty sure all in all, that would come to around £200 or more for that whole thing. And the idea was, again, very similar to cyber shoes. Like, there wouldn't be any VR sickness and you could move around freely just with your feet. You put your feet on it, you move around. And to be fair, it was a really good product. But dude, did it age badly? Like, this is no, I mean, why? To be fair, the Move controllers are just like, they're 10, 11 years old anyway. But yeah, like when that come about, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And then slowly I was like, no, this is not really cool because I don't know about you. When I play VR, I assume I'm going to be standing up.
Yes, I'm the same way.
Right.
It's naturally, I'm going to play standing up. Time to time, I'll play sitting down. But that's probably a product of a very bad day or an exhausting day. It's not a product of me wanting to play sitting down. It's just, I know a lot of people do it. Accessibility is a huge thing. Some people just can't stand for long periods of time. So I love that. I hope a game, when it comes out, will have seated and standing features. I think it should be mandatory. But at the same time, I just won't be using that seated feature unless forced to. I do want to get into, since we kind of brought a little PSVR in there. So I don't have a great relationship with many PSVR content creators. I don't know why. It just seems like there's always, ever since I've started, like there's always such a disconnect, I feel like, between PCVR versus everyone else. And that's probably due to my little bubble that I live in. So I take a lot of responsibility for that. I can say that a lot of the people that I, unfortunately, not that I've interacted with, that have interacted with me based on a comment or something I've said, I have no problem saying it. I've had really bad, some of the PSVR community have done nothing but just piss me off. Like PSVR, I'm just gonna be honest. PSVR Underground. I'll call people by my name. I'm sure he's an awesome human being. Nothing against him, but he's been nothing but negative anytime he's interacted with me, and it puts me off real hard for PSVR.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Oh,
like
so PSVR Underground. That is AJ from
He
works with the Without Parole the GameCat people.
Yes, and it's not just him. It's not just him.
Yeah, so they are the biggest PSVR community. Well, they're really kind of the only PSVR community I know of. No one else is out there trying to start one or anything. And obviously they use the cat thing, and everyone had GameCat in their name. But I guess it depends what you said. I don't know what it was. What I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think I say anything super controversial, but all my everything I've ever interacted with him and a couple others has been, I'm an idiot, or sleeping on PSVR, you guys are holding on to straw. I was like, why are we arguing, guys? What is going on? I'm very interested in PSVR content. It's on me that I've never looked at it because I don't own a PS5 and I have no intention of owning one, just because, just like you probably, we already struggle for time as is. I'm not adding another console to my time list here. But yeah, PSVR and PSVR 2 is something that I'm really paying close attention to, because PSVR was the first one on the scene. Like, I know HTC was my first headset, but PSVR, to me, was the first VR headset that was getting traction. It took a very long time for the Quest and everything else to catch up to it. But then you don't hear anything about it. And since I remember you just posted that Dreadhalls video from your early PSVR days that I really liked watching on Twitter. What have you seen, like, where PSVR was to where it is now? What's your key takeaways?
Oh, where it is now is it's not dead at all, but it's just it struggles for traction. It struggles for people being interested. The hardcore are now the people who are pulling the weight for it, So PSVR is the reason I got into VR. I tried it in 2016. It was like, I think I tried it in April 2016, and it was launching on October 2016. I went to a London convention, and there was Oculus and HTC. But I've got a family, I've got children. It is a big amount of money to say I need to buy a PC, and then I need to buy a PCVR headset, and then I need to buy, when already at home I've got a PS4. So in my mind, this, not only was it mind-blowing at the time, it was affordable. And it was like, and I've always said this for like 2 years. If you think of how the Quest, it wasn't, when I first got into like watching YouTube, not being a YouTuber, watching it, there just wasn't many channels. You had Nathie, but he didn't do what I would call PSVR content. He just done a lot of stuff, which it was just VR content in general, or it'd be Vorpex stuff like that. You wouldn't ever say he is a Oculus headset person or an HTC, whatever. He seemed to just be VR. And the one that really got me was PSVR Frank.
Yes.
Yeah.
So his personality was 10 out of 10. I didn't even own a PSVR and I wanted to watch him. Him and Firewall stuff was awesome.
Yeah, so like when he started, and I was in these sub 400 subscribers. It felt special. Like I've been on YouTube to watch stuff, but I've never wanted to be part of a community, and I've definitely never wanted to follow or support a creator in that way. And dude, like every single video I watched, every single video I liked, I commented. If he ever went live, I'd be there chatting to him. Like I remember one day he was just in his van on his phone. Like before you get 1,000 subs, you're just doing it. It's just stuff that feels good. You don't really care. So we were just chatting away, and it was good. He got up to like 50,000 subscribers, and it was his persona, that Frank, that Italian mobster kind of thing. He was
car salesman. I thought he looked like a car salesman the first time I saw him on a video.
Yeah, he could definitely sell them. I don't know where he would be now. He'd be massive. I think he'd be, and I think Without Parole guys are very lucky that he's not around, because I think. Well, I don't know. PSVR might be better off with him, because there's definitely enough users out there, or people who have invested in PSVR. I'm sure it's over 5 million headsets are sold, or even more.
Yeah, there's definitely more.
Yeah, there's tons, but it's like, I remember PSVR was great. Like before lockdown, people would come around, they'd play it, you watch their reactions, they're like, I'm buying it. Most of them, not all of them. And my uncle in particular, he is not a tech fad, but if I had the better telly, he wouldn't like it. He'd be like, oh, that's a nice TV. So the PSVR, he was like, yeah, this is really good. And he bought it. And then he rang me up a little while later and he went, I'm not using it. And I'm like, all right, what's that? Well, you got to get it out of the box and you got to plug it in. And I was like, and that's the difference, isn't it? That's where I guess you've got to be a fan so much that you're willing to overlook those issues of setups and stuff. And that's where the Quest come in. And that's where, like, in my mind, PSVR from like 2016, 2017, 2018, possibly just at the beginning of 2019, that's when it fell off a little bit for me, what I saw. And the Quest just came in and rocketed. Like, it was unreal for the money as well. It was unreal, the technology they were saying in that headset.
Yeah, it's changed dramatically since those. I would say 2018, 2019 was some of the most fun I've had in VR. I've been very happy to see the community grow. Like, you and I, there's always going to be people who are not happy with the state of something versus happy with it, because everyone's priorities are different, everyone's happiness is different. Nothing's going to be good across the board. Regardless of who's happy, who's not, like you said, it was PSVR Frank with PSVR. I knew Nathy when I came in. Mike had a good following. C-Top and who else? Who was the streamer we were talking about before? Jamify.
Jamify,
yeah. Like, these were the people that showed up if you put #VR, that's who you were going to get. It was a very small community. And then you started seeing more people and more people. You saw you, me, BMF, Steve, Thrill, Mateo, and then Mr. There's all these people that kept coming. And it's been really nice to see, because it just shows you the interest is growing. I think everyone's in a little bit of a lull now. I did see a little PSVR rumor that I wanted your opinion on. The rumor is like a secondhand rumor because it came from Ben Lang, but he said he heard a rumor that Sony was asking AAA non-VR devs to implement an additional VR mode in all their content, which, very interesting. PSVR Underground had a lot to say on that tweet. What's your thoughts on it, man?
I miss this stuff. I must admit, I need to start looking more on Twitter then, because I must be missing these conversations, because I even commented on that.
Dude, and if I see a tweet from certain people like Ben Lang or other thing like that, I just read the comments. They're beautiful. I'll hit a like just to see what's coming on, but I try to not engage on Twitter too much. It's not worth my time. But yeah, what do you think about it?
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
It's amazing. Like, there's obviously a very big interest in. There's some channels do so well with Vorpex content, and basically what they're looking for brands that are already established.
For people who don't know what Vorpex is, can you give them a little rundown of that?
It's a really smart 3D kind of engine. It does it makes flat games turn into 3D, but you can also add a virtuality level to them. Some of it can be very impressive, some of it can be absolutely terrible, and it's unplayable, and it doesn't always work. But when it does work, it's brilliant, and it is very smart. And when I heard about the PSVR hybrid thing, I was like, there is two things to this. Obviously, it is great news, but it depends on the level of immersion they go to. Like, is this just going to be a visual thing? Is it just going to be a case of, it's virtuality visually? What about menus? What about that next level of immersion that VR people have? You know, we don't want to press start and have a thing come up. Normally, you have a menu somehow that's integrated into the game, because the idea is to keep you into the game and not make you feel like you're leaving the game. It's very, I find it very different, virtuality to flat games personally. But
yeah, I got a few thoughts on it that let's step through. So the first thought was, when I saw it, I'm going negative in my head first, and not from the sense of probably where you're thinking, but if you're going to ask, I'm going to use ask in quotation marks. We're going to ask AAA non-VR developers to add VR mode. In my mind, I have a feeling, because they want to sell PSVR 2 units, that ask is more a tell. And if you're telling a company to do it, it does take resources away from that company. It's money that they have to invest in that. And I wonder how much of a treatment they're going to give it, if by force. So that was kind of where my head first. Do you think the quality of these ports is going to be, doesn't need to be perfect, is it going to be acceptable, do you think, from these AAA developers?
If it depends. So I think with PSVR Q&A, I think a lot of VR developers will say it was the harshest out of any Q&A system going, even Oculus and all that. Like, it was, well, Oculus, I don't know what the hell's happening with them sometimes at the moment.
Who knows?
The trash that Tarzan VR, what happened? Like that game starts off looking beautiful, and then you play it, and I'm like, what the hell is this crap?
I did not play it, but it was the only Upload VR review I've ever seen out of 1 star. I've never seen them do that other than that one game.
Oh, it's awful. And sometimes it's weird. I don't want to be a review channel. Like in my fantasies, I would, but it's to do a review is a lot of work.
Yes,
a lot of work. I feel it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of work. And I usually only do them when something is really, really amazing and I've got it really early, or it's really, really bad and I want to stop people buying it. So when I do a review, I think a lot of people are like, oh, GT's done a review. It's going to be a stinker. Do you know what I mean? So
I didn't want that though. Do you watch any movie reviews on YouTube, like from Chris Stuckman or anything?
The only person I sort of watch sometimes with movies and stuff is Angry Joe. But yeah. That's the only.
The reason I bring up Stuckman is he recently kind of came out and he's directing a film now, but he kind of said, I don't want to review. He's been reviewing forever, but he's sick of reviewing movies that he doesn't like because he doesn't want to shit on these people. So now he's only reviewing videos or movies that he really loves, which I almost think is more interesting because, like you said, I don't particularly want to be a review channel either. Like I don't even do reviews of hardware anymore because it's a ginormous responsibility that I don't feel that I'm adequate to do because my heart's not in it, and I don't believe that the end product that I'm going to give would justify this ginormous purchase for a human being. Like hell, if the Valve Index 2 comes out and someone wanted me to review that, no, that is too much pressure on me. That's I don't know what they're going to price it at, but potentially $1,000+ hardware. You need a PC. You might be spending $3-4 grand based off a 10-minute review. That's a scary thought in my mind. That's like $4,000. That's thousands and thousands of dollars that could have radically changed something else in your life. And if you make that choice, great, go for it. I don't want any part in that. I just don't. But I like how he's only reviewing movies that he likes, and I'm wondering if we get to the point where people like you, as VR gets bigger, we just start seeing these bigger and better Angry Joe type reviews, especially on games that you like, where we go deeper and here's the lore, here's this, here's that. Like I know the interest isn't there right now to make those type of videos.
It's not. That's the problem.
It's not. But is someone gonna just make them to get that foot in the door? But I don't know, man. I'm spouting off like 10 different ideas, but I'm just really looking forward to the day where VR takes off so that type of content can actually be in demand, because I would love to watch it, but I understand it's not profitable or time worthy of anyone doing it right now.
At the moment, it's not. Like I had a real The Walking Dead onslaught. Now the thing is, I've met some of these developers physically, like at Gamescom. I met Servius or Servios, whatever you want to call them, Servius, and I met those guys and I played it back then. And it was really good. Like I really enjoyed it. I only played the single player portion of it. There was like an X-ray cam thing where if you stabbed them, suddenly you saw like a wave go over them. You saw like the inside of them sort of break and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then when I got the game itself was bad. Like it looked good and that was it. So my review, when it went out, it was the fastest growing video I've ever had. But I'd also broke embargo. But not on purpose. It was like this guy, I think it was a Wolf in VR, had put a video up of the game. And I was like, oh, the embargo's like for another, like, I don't know, 30 odd hours. I was like, is that possible? So I emailed my contact and I was like, are we allowed to post our content now? And he went, yeah, sure, go for it. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, fair enough. Posted it. I think I took my daughter for like ice cream or something like that. And then I was on my way home. So I'd only been gone like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I've seen the emails and it's like, can you, we didn't agree to any reviews. And I'm like, we never said not to do any reviews. In no place, any emails, because sometimes you can live stream at this, you can make a video here and you can review here.
Yes.
There was none of that. It was just content. The word was content. Personally, I think he saw the review and went, this is bad. And then they were like, can you pull it? Go back to the original. So I'm like, so I checked the video. It is the first one in absolutely ages that is rocketing. And I'm like, come on, man, this is so unfair. Like, this is, because as soon as I do anything with that, it's going to just ruin the analytics. And sure enough, I felt bad. So I did. I pulled it. A lot of other content creators were like, you're well within your right to leave that video up.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah, I didn't. I was sort of like, oh my God, I don't want to upset anyone. And so they went, no, put it back up. So an hour later, I put it back up, but it's
too late at that point. At that point, the algorithm picks it up and it's done. Can I pick your brain on when you come from a review with a game like that? What platform is this on, by the way, too?
This was for PC.
PC. Okay, so that actually is probably better for this question. What is your thought process on how do you tackle a game review where there is either a roadmap for improvements, or B, it's designated as early access? How do you go about rationalizing your initial review knowing what may or may not be coming down the road?
Okay. If it is clearly labeled early, we can go for Larsenals in a way.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, Larsenals at the time wasn't really sort of being spouted as early access kind of thing. It was a little bit. It wasn't. Either way, you're paying full price for the game. In my mind, if you're doing an early access title, I think the player is also the tester, and they're helping the game grow. So there should be I think a bit of a discount on the game for that. So got Larsenals. I was very lucky to get a early access with Oculus and some of the developers, and there was some major red flags. It was, don't get me wrong, we're all laughing, we're all having a good time, but it was like something's not right. BMS feeling sick, people are talking about feeling disconnected. I press reload and my gun sort of floated away and come back, and I'm like, what is this game? Like, this doesn't feel right. So me and Nathy like waited till the end, and we pulled them up, and we were like, this isn't right. Nathy was so adamant that this wasn't a VR game. He was like, this is not a VR game. This is a flat game you've made into VR. This wasn't. And he said, I think he said it to him. He was like, this was not VR originally. And they were like, no, it was. So I'm sort of like a day later, I'm thinking, I'm really worried that this isn't going to work out, and I really want it to do well. So I went out of my way and I emailed and messaged everyone I could on LinkedIn, on Discord from that team, because at the end of the day, I'm not massive. They're not going to really care about my opinion, but I thought if I fire it out enough, they may pay attention. In the end, I started like helping out, managed to tell them about immersive mode, which they called it, which is basically, they wanted to know how to tackle, how to stop people running and aiming. And I went, it's already been done. I said, Pavlov, onward. You put your gun down, you can run. You go to aim, you lift the gun up. Done. They turned that into something called immersive mode. And then they had like, so they've listened and they've changed and they've done loads of good stuff. But when I reviewed it, I made it very clear that I'm reviewing it as it is. And I had a lot of good fun with it, but there was definitely a lot of stuff. I think when there's people like you, me, and other people out there who have a lot of VR experience, I think a lot of us would be happy to go like, do you know, as a part-time job, I'll play test. I would love to. Like, personally, I end up doing it for free most of the time, which is probably why no one pays me.
Yeah, let's stop there real quick, because I think that shouldn't be understated. Like, can we just put into like a picture how ridiculous you just sounded there in a positive way? So this is the state of VR creators. Like, this is the state of us. We get in early access on these games, and you have someone like yourself, GT, who the hell is wasting all their time messaging everyone we can of this development team, trying to give feedback, because this is all we do and play, and we won't get paid for this. And even if we did get paid for it, it's VR content. We're not, unless you're pulling thrill seeker numbers, you're probably not getting paid much on any of this. Like, if you are, this is the state of the VR content creators that you don't see. You'll see sometimes, they'll get called for clickbaiting this, clickbaiting that. They'll be called out for this, and it's all this BS, but you don't see what goes behind the door with people like GT and others who literally just want to playtest and make the game better so the end user gets a better experience. I don't think that ever gets shared, or maybe it does, but falls on deaf ears.
I did a video a little while ago. It's not a breakdown, but I had a moment of,
I did watch that one.
I think I've had enough. And I was trying to work out in my mind why I've had enough. And there's so many different factors, and that was kind of one of them, because I would come up to this room and I'd be like, what's this? You go through emails. They're quite scary sometimes, because you start thinking to yourself, have I got time to do this? I've already got that to do that day. I've already agreed to do that this day, which is why I quit my podcast, because it was just more and more responsibilities.
Yes.
Because ultimately, obviously, I would love to be massive and do it full time, literally, because then I'd have more time and I could concentrate more on what I'm doing. But yeah, so when it comes to, I'd come up here for a day and I could literally play 3 games, record all of them, and never put any of them out. because all I end up doing is leaving feedback. He's going, oh man, this isn't right. Like, this is not right. You shouldn't probably do this, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, fair play to a lot of developers. They really do make a difference. Some developers, like Larsenauts or Impulse Gear, have since gone, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? You know, what, not paid, but can you have a look at this? Can you have a look at that?
Sure.
I made the credits on Sniper Elite, which is pretty cool because I worked with them. Obviously, I don't think I'm a thing to say what was wrong with it when I got it. But at the end of the day, not everything I wanted to be changed was changed, but the primary stuff did get changed because it was so obvious to them. Well, not obvious. There's another thing as well I've seen. I remember a long time ago watching a PlayStation show, and they had Adam Orth on there.
Who's that?
Adam Orth, I think he was quite a controversial name in Microsoft somehow. Can't remember why, but he was with First Contact Firewall, and I was watching this show, and there was what's his name? Oh, it's like the main guy there. I can't remember. He's the main guy. He's the main guy now at First Contact. But him and Adam were saying how Adam was playing Firewall in a certain control method, and he's obviously the biggest name there. They're a new studio, I'm assuming. And they're like, he's saying we should do it like this, but everyone else is playing the game and going, this does not feel right. And he said, thank God the whole team or whoever it was eventually said to him, Adam, don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Because he said, I realized how I'm playing this game wasn't right. So when sometimes I jump into games like Sniper Elite and I'll be playing it a certain way, they'll go, we've never seen anyone do that before. And I'm like, that's because I guess you have a team and you have a bubble. And that's where it all is, you know. And sometimes you need someone who's on the outside of the bubble to go, just to see, just to take a look, fresh eyes.
Yeah, I'm with that. What was that? Because I didn't particularly care for Elite at all.
Oh.
I have my problems with it. But what was the thing you tried? You gave them that feedback on that you played differently. I'm kind of curious.
Oh, it was the main one actually was the reloading mechanic,
Okay.
Purely my fault. I'm not a sniper in real life.
You used your right hand every time, didn't you?
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
I'd have the gun and I'd bring it down. The ammo pouch would be here, and I think I would reach over, put it in, bolt it, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It felt right." And they were like, "Well, that's not how it should be done." And I'm like, well, I'm just saying, man. Like, and initially the hands were an issue with the game as well, but that all got sorted pretty much. I think when it was released, the Steam version had like an older build or something.
I think that's probably why like Anton over at H3 loses his mind half the time, because you have he's a gun nut in a good way. Like, he really puts a lot of effort in making his guns as realistic as possible. I've watched his dev commentary on, like he did one for a grenade launcher, showing how the gun works, how the sights work, what he has to put in to make it work. Like, that was beautiful stuff. But then, like, I remember when Sniper Elite came out, at constant people were streaming it, and I kept seeing the comments like, why'd you just reload it that way? You're supposed to keep the sight down range, reload. It's so funny how something so small like that has such a big impact, because people expect realism because it's virtual reality. And I just thought it was such an interesting dynamic that's what got people engaged, was the inaccuracies, not anything else going on.
Dude, they love to critique. People love to. I was playing for a laugh, Lawnmower Simulator, and most of the people in my stream were suddenly like groundskeepers. They were, professional lawnmowers. And they said, "No, GT, no. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just mowing." And they're like, "No, straight lines. Someone's telling me to do it." And I'm like, "For real, guys, like, it's just a game," but it means a lot to them. And just go back on accessories. When I played Sniper Elite with the Pro Tube, I automatically bolted correctly.
And
I don't understand why. I even said it in my video. I was like, I don't know why, but for some reason, having this here, it kind of makes sense to me to do it different. And I don't know even how that makes any sense.
What a difficult scenario too for a developer. Like,
oh, dude,
you have no control over how anyone is going to play your game. Like, because it's not, if you're playing traditionally, hit X for whatever, but it's hit X for reload. Every single person who plays your game is going to hit X for reload. That's just the mechanic. How the hell do you navigate the waters of, hey, here's your gun. You can hold it with one hand, two hands. It'll be terrible with one hand, but you can do whatever you want. You can reload it how you want. We can't plan for what you were going to do. So we're just crossing our fingers the way that we hoped you did it, you'll do.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think it can come across like arrogance or we know better or I know better. That would never be the intention. To me, developers are the music makers. They are.
Yes.
Without them, we've got nothing. Like, they are the most important people. But for everything to be successful, you need something to play it on. You need games. But quickly, that's why I think Boneworks for me was one of the best games I'd ever played in VR. Because people were like, "Oh, there's no story," and I'm like, I didn't even notice that I needed a story, because I was just enjoying this game. All the options, the way everything had weight, the sense of presence in there meant more to me than the fact there wasn't necessarily a big story. There was a kind of a story.
There was a story. I mean, wouldn't it be the same story in real life? You woke up and now you have no info and have to piece it together. I'm not going to be narrated to in real life, so I don't know. I thought Boneworks had a pretty good story. I know it was minimal, but I was intrigued. I wanted to keep going to the next area.
Yeah, and the music in that game and the graphics, like everything about that game to me. I think when Boneworks came out, I was doing my podcast, and it was so split. Like, people were like, "This game's like, why? There's no story, there's no campaign," and I'm like, but there kind of is. You are the story, you are the campaign, and you are the character. I just loved it. Like, I love Boneworks, and as I said, the music. There's not many soundtracks that I'd actually listen to at my own time, but Boneworks has one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't mind stories that are ambiguous, especially in VR. I've talked about this before, but I do not do well sitting getting info dumped on in VR. Like, I just lose my mind. Apex Construct, like, have you played that?
Yeah.
So, remember the first time you meet Mother? I think there's just a bunch of computers in a random room, and then she comes up. She's talking to you for a bit, and it's good stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But God, do I not want to sit there and listen anymore. I just wanted to go back to, like, playing. But then I play games like, oh man, why am I blanking on it? What's the, Until You Die. There's, like, a minimal story similar to Boneworks. You just got to kind of piece it together. But that little bit was enough for me to keep going. And I didn't need to be info dumped. It was the narrator kind of says a couple things here and there. I get it. I have to get to the end to cleanse the world. That's the story. I don't need anything else. Like, you gave me what I needed. And I'm not very good at getting info dumped in VR. And I haven't found a game that did story great other than, like, Half-Life Alyx, which...
Oh yeah, Half-Life Alyx.
I don't even want to name it because it's bullshit that I have to say that.
Yeah.
It just creates such a negative connotation with every other game out there. Especially with Ben Lane going back at it with VR and needing more AAA titles right now. Do you think we need more AAA titles?
Yeah, but oh yeah, of course I do. But it'd be, unless you get a hell of a lot of them, you're still in the same boat. And then you've got the exclusive things to go back on already. Like, people will be like, "What? It is? Oh yeah, we've got a AAA title coming out for PSVR," and people will be like, "Oh God, why just PSVR? If it's just Quest, people aren't happy." And so, it's tough. It's a tough thing. To be honest, I'm really excited for PSVR 2, because I think to myself, there'll be a parity for developers on there. They haven't got to keep changing hardware. They'll have one piece of hardware to work with, squeeze the best they can out of it. Like, normally you see with video games, the beginning cycle of a life of a computer compared to the end of that games console. The games look amazing. So I'm very excited for that. And that headset sounds amazing. And yeah, just the gaming side of it. I want that simplicity. Turn it on, put it on, have fun. So yeah, I do want that again, and that's what sometimes I get fed up with PC. I get fed up with having to go through all these different hoops sometimes to just enjoy something. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes.
It's gotten much better. I mean, you remember what it was back in the day. Like, if I didn't get a Steam error like 208 or 108 back in the day, like, I'm gonna get it at least once, or it wasn't a VR session at that point. Now,
you might, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was saying, you might have been in VR longer than I have. As I said, like, I didn't start till November 2017. And I was only PSVR as well for a whole year. So I didn't, because the only reason I got a PC was because Oculus sent me an Oculus headset. And when they messaged me and said, like, "Oh, we're going to send you a headset," I was like, wow, like, this is crazy. I've only got like 3,000-4,000 subs. This is unreal.
You were definitely streaming before I got into VR.
Yeah?
Well,
I remember seeing you in the comments.
At least before I got into YouTube. I was watching you before I got into YouTube, for sure.
Right. Oh yeah, maybe. It must have been the PSVR to PC time then.
Yeah.
It must have been because, as I said, I was literally solely PSVR for at least a year and a half. I would guess. But yeah, I thought they were sending me a Go, and I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, they're going to send me a Go. This would be pretty cool." And then the Rift turned up, and I was like, "Oh God!" And I had to speak to can we get a loan and get a
CV1. Oh, the good old. What did you need? 3 different sensors for that. The headset. There was a lot of issues with the CV1. I had a great time with it.
Yeah, I had
Between that and the HTC Vive, there was a
so comfy.
Yeah, that was
and light.
Yeah, better days there. But, man, speaking of content creating, though, so I honestly do think you were there before me. I know we already brought up that video that you made, Aaron, some of your thoughts about it. What are you seeing from the content creator side right now? Because I think it's a little quiet. It's a little bit of a lull. There's a lot of people really doing well for themselves. A lot of people are really growing their base, their communities. It's really good to see. And they're doing it in whatever way they can due to the content that's out there. But what's your vibe right now for like the content creator scene?
You put it perfectly. It is a bit of a lull, but it depends what sort of content you're making. So funny enough, in a tweet today, and someone picked up on it and said it was quite a good one. I was basically saying that content creators are doing different things. Some people are making like wacky cast. I don't really watch these channels, by the way, but I know of them and I do see them. Brutal VR. It's all about violence and it's all about just violence. And then you've got the VR news, and then you've got the tech tips kind of thing. What's this latest hack? What's this latest thing that's coming? Hype and stuff. And then you've got gaming channels, which to break the mold, being a general gaming channel is pretty tough.
Yeah, very much.
So, and to be fair, like I've sort of dabbled in doing other bits. Podcast is probably one of the best things for me because I just want to talk about virtual reality. I love talking about it. So I'm really glad that we're starting a new one soon. And
talk about it a little bit. You're welcome to plug it here if you want.
Oh no. It's coming up in September. And literally, actually, I've got a meeting today. I'm really trying to make it something special and something a bit that people can really, really enjoy and really get their teeth into, and it'll help kind of take some pressure off me for the indie side of things. Because like in that YouTube video where I said I'm having some problems, I want to support developers as well, and I do want to do that. And the problem is, analytically, it won't be good for your channel to keep just chucking games that you think are meh, but they need some exposure. And then, but no one's going to be watching it. They're not going to care. And like, it's already hard now with a game that is semi-well known. If a game isn't known at all, it'd be tough. So the idea is there's going to be a VR Trend magazine getting involved, and they're going to do an indie. Yeah, they're fantastic, mate. I'll take it you're in part of the magazine and all that stuff, aren't you? Obviously.
Yeah, I've done it once, but both Daniel and Cody. I mean, they're workhorses. Like they're beast.
Yeah. And what they're doing is, well, I never thought I'd see it. Like having a physical VR magazine is amazing, and seeing like Thrill on the front, like a content creator, is just wow. Well, I actually have been in the magazine thinking about it, and I was like, wow, I'm in a magazine. But yeah, so they're going to be doing a indie corner. That's going to be one of the things. And what I'm hoping to do as well is integrate Spatial Ape. So I sort of put the feelers out on whether to do the whole show in VR.
Give everyone a little idea what Spatial Ape is. I don't think they're as well known yet.
Yeah, it's pretty new. Spatial Ape, it does seem to be the next social metaverse kind of app. You have a certain particular world. I think you can have up to 50 people in it. And I went into a meeting in there to talk to the guy. At the time, I was going to put the whole show in there. And there was a game developer, and he was showing off his game. And I sort of went in there and I was listening, because you can have like sound bubbles. So if you're in this bubble, then you only hear people inside the bubble. And there was like other games all around. And it was really great to listen to developers talk about virtuality. But the other thing they really liked doing was actually having the ability to do it. Was like they're throwing ideas back and forth, and all this stuff. It was really cool. So when I put the feelers out that I was going to put the show into virtuality, a lot of people said that the current only virtuality show is Upload. They do their whole
they do
podcast. Yeah. They, to the point I get confused about who they really look like sometimes. and they said they find it quite a disconnect sometimes. They don't. It doesn't come across very humane sometimes for some
I feel
people.
that. I can't watch it. I'll be honest. Just on mine, I've seen them, and Jamie, I think he does a great job with Jamie Feltham does a great job with Upload VR, and they are my go-to. Road to VR and them are my two that I watch. They both present VR in entirely different manners. Road to VR is much more analytical. I love them both, but that show, no shade to it, just the medium that they're doing it through, I can't connect with personally. That's just me.
So that is, it's not just you though. So funny enough, you know, I can watch it and I don't mind it, and I've done shows in the past in virtuality. I kind of thought, how cool is it to talk about virtuality in virtuality? But it's fine for if you and me were in it now in the headset, that's fine. We've got that. I think, workrooms in Oculus.
Yeah.
One of the best ones I've used, literally. And I was puzzled why. And it just felt like we were really there. It felt like we was really talking. I don't know whether it's because of expressions or the way the eyes move, or there's obviously something going on that is particularly clever that made me think. I really felt like I hung out with Mike, Matt, and whoever else, you know, and Terrell. It was a strange one. So anyway, feedback was a bit of a disconnect. So the idea is, what I'm hoping to do is the indie developers who are in VR Trend magazine then have a segment in Spatial Ape. So we do an after show party, and we all go over to Spatial Ape, and there will be the developer with his game there and all his information, and then the guys who are interested in the game can talk to him and talk to us. And so I wanted to try and bring the two together. That's the idea. That's what I want to do.
So with this new type of content that you guys are doing, how do you find? Because obviously we'll just keep going back to that video of me, but with this new type of content, how do you find your happiness within making that? Like, what is different here versus making a video that you can just find your happiness a little easier, where you don't lose your mind? Because YouTube is a mind fuck, and I have no problem saying that.
I hate the algorithm. But it's obviously I just think now's not a great time for VR content creators in general, unless you are in a niche, unless you are doing a particular kind of content. You know, there's got to be something. It's got to be VR news, tech, violence. They seem to be like the really big things. And it doesn't.
That last one, violence. Well, I never thought. No, you're right. You're right. Not just
violence. Yeah, the word brutal is just everywhere. And it doesn't. I don't know if that helps VR grow. I know it helps them grow, and it looks great and it's fun, but I don't know how many people watch that and then go, I'm gonna go and buy a VR headset now. I don't know. I don't know the answer, and I wonder.
It's a good question. It kind of gets brought up a lot with like Josh Stubbs and his crew. A lot of people bring that up, where there's
I do watch their TikToks.
Yeah, a lot of people love Josh Stubbs and Eddie and that entire crew. They think they're hilarious. Other people think it's like one of the worst things that ever happened to VR, because that's the vibe you're putting out. I try to like compartmentalize my boomer mentality on that versus my like early adopter, like futurist mind. I think it can go both ways, in my opinion. I think they're really good for VR. I think camaraderie and comedy are unifiers throughout the world. Like, funny is funny. Now, you got to pass the language barrier sometimes, but funny is funny, and funny is happiness to a lot of people. So if Josh Stubbs and them all are unfortunately sometimes going to the fringes of what's acceptable to get those laughs, I just hope that, because I don't follow them a lot, so I see clips of their funniest stuff, but all I can hope is that if you're watching them for a long time, that they're still showing their true colors of being good people, which I assume they are, and are building their community up where, yes, this is hilarious, this is funny, but there's a limit, and they help their users to know that. But ultimately, I think they're pretty good for VR. It's just a lot of people are watching them.
I would definitely say you need them there. You need them there because they might not sell loads of VR headsets, but they will attract VR people. People will go, how are you doing this? Like, this doesn't look normal. So for anyone who thinks that's the worst thing to happen to VR, I would definitely say that's not correct. Like, it's a good thing they're there regardless of the content. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someone making an info video on a headset will create more people to want to go and buy a VR headset, but it's still going to be a percentage, whatever it will be, that someone will go VR chat. VR chat. Oh, right, VR. Yeah. I need to get in there. I need to do that. I want to become the little green guy. I don't know what his name is. And you see him all running around. Do you know what I mean?
The no square guy.
The no square guy. Yes. Yeah. He's now become the cummy person or something. The other day I was saying on TikTok, I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, it is funny. I love what they're doing. I love whatever. There's nothing. I don't think there's any content out there that I would be against.
No.
I don't think there is. No. Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
What would you be against? Like people having fun or like unless they're just purposely going to VR chat to be racist and be assholes, which they wouldn't last long on social media because that's just immediately banned. Who's doing anything bad? They're just expressing themselves in different ways, and if that gets their clips on TikTok where people view them daily, now they're gonna get recommended other VR clips then from other people, and that's just like a daily VR allowance. And maybe it takes them 10 years to get into it, but it might have taken them. They might have never gotten into it if they didn't have those clips constantly being pushed to them. I find a lot of decisions that I make are not usually based off the initial thing I see. Like I didn't ever see one VR thing and go, "Yep, that's today. We're buying it." It's usually a build-up of little things over time that go, "Okay, it's time. It's time." That was the tipping points.
So I remember when you started your channel, you were doing gameplay a lot, weren't you? Yes. In the beginning, because I think that's where everyone starts, because that's how you find VR. You see a game, you think that's really cool. You get to hold a lightsaber, that holding a lightsaber in general just is a thing for most people. They're like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually going to hold a lightsaber. And then you changed your content as well, didn't you? After a while, you stopped the game thing.
The gameplay is just not for me. That's not who I am, and it takes you a while to realize that, because you just watch so much content that you think I have to do that. And you realize you don't, but you also can't do stuff that you're not happy with. Like I'm not a talker when I play games. I shut down and I focus on the game. I'm having a great time, but I can't be my energetic self while I'm playing a game, because they are two different people who are playing that. And I got to realize that it's just not for me.
That makes complete sense, dude, because you know what? I've recorded video gameplay before, and I've been so into the game that when I've watched it back, I'm like, I can't use this.
Yep.
I'm just dead silent because I'm just enjoying the game. So I completely understand what you're saying.
And if you got to play, like a game comes out and people want you to stream it or play it, great. Who are you playing the game for at that point? Are you playing the game for yourself or other people? There are special people and the best streamers who can do both at the same time, and they're flawless. I acknowledge I can't. I can't do both at the same time. I either want to play it for myself or I'm going to be playing it for other people. I played all of Half-Life Alyx on one single stream, all crushed it. And I had a really good time. Reflecting back on it, I think I would have had more fun playing Half-Life Alyx without people watching. I would have played it differently. So I had to go away from that. You've stuck pretty much... you've done what everyone has done. We've always tried new things, but I think you've always been known for gameplay, reviews... I love streaming. I do. I love it. I don't know. I'm very social anyway. I am very social as a person. I'd happily game with a room full of people and all that stuff. So live streaming for me, I feel I've started recently a live stream channel just for live streams. And there's two reasons. Is analytics. People have been telling me for a long time that live streams and videos do not mix on a channel. They don't.
Yeah, so I'm still yet to see the riches from this movement. I'm waiting for my channel to blow up. But so I've recently moved that, and it's kind of actually made me feel better, because making a video kind of locked me down, because what would happen is analytically, I've got a new game to play, so I make a video for it, and I made it 2-3 days ago, and it's due to come out today. But I'll be sitting there thinking, man, I really want to live stream. I love live streaming a lot, and I just wish that I could just do that all the time. But it just doesn't work in VR that well at the moment. People aren't that interested in watching VR live streams, and I'm on Facebook.
Let's talk about that, because I actually brought that up on Twitter this morning. So for one, how have you learned to navigate the waters of just the tech? Because I know that's its own beast of streaming with VR. How have you gotten so consistent? Because I think out of everyone I've watched, you're one of the better ones on... You just seem to have really figured out the process tech-wise for streaming, where you don't have many issues.
No, I still have... There's always one thing. I think the human brain does like 7 or 8 things and there's a limit. So how many of these steps? And there's normally one, and it's normally my camera focus. For some reason, I'll go through everything. Yeah, it's already there. And that's recently I did, as I said, I've done Lawnmower Simulator just because I was fascinated with the idea of a game that is that.
Sure.
And I hate gardening. I was just like, why do I want to play this so bad? And whenever I do a flat stream, it feels so easy. It's so, and also there's more connection because it's like us talking now. I can kind of see my audience and I can see the comments and they can see my face, they can see my eyes, and you know, there is definitely more of a connection and I can give them more attention as well. Yeah, so I in some ways I wish I was like a flat streamer as well, and that's one of the blessings of that new channel is if I want to play a game, dude, I'm just going to chuck it up there because I feel like it. But what was happening with the other channel was I'd have a video line up and I just couldn't do anything. I'd be stuck. I'd be like, I can't live stream because it's going to kill the other video. That means putting a video on a video, and that's a really bad thing. And as for the live streaming thing, I literally made a book. I wrote the steps down of everything I need to do every single time, and there's a lot of steps to get it right. And I've tried helping other people to make videos on it, but there's still new things I learn as I go. So they might see a video 6 months ago and then go, oh, dude, like you're doing something that looks different now. And I'm like, but I don't really want to make another video on it because it's just not fun. Like making these tutorial videos. I personally don't get any fun out of that. I like helping people and I would sit there and talk to 100 people like I'm talking to you now. But if you want me to edit something together, I just don't really feel like doing it sometimes. And, but yeah, a lot of people come across and say that like the streams are good quality. There's some streams out there who are known for their technical issues. I rarely have I'm very lucky, touch on wood. I rarely have technical issues. And yeah, the only thing I ever get is glitches. Glitches love me. I play a game and something will go wrong all the time.
It happens. The eye comment that you made was specifically something I brought up today that had some really good discussions with on Twitter. But I've always thought about that because it's pretty clear viewership for VR streaming is a drop in the bucket compared to everything else, which is understandable. There's a billion reasons. So I'm over here this morning just thinking, what is the low-hanging fruit, just as a thought experiment, on what is driving that? It's a billion things, but your eye connection comment was something I was thinking about because I'm watching streams that I'm watching, and I'm watching the person just as much as the gameplay. Like every now and then I'll be on Facebook scrolling through video in like Stone Mountain playing Call of Duty or something. I don't know. I don't even play Call of Duty, but something about him and watching him is really fun. Then I watch some VR streamers and like I'm a VR gamer, yet I'm still having a problem connecting with this person who I know can't see me, even though they never would. But there's no eye contact. They almost seem behind a wall, and that person is just so far outside my grasp that I can't even build a connection that is obviously just me watching it. It's weird, and I'm wondering if this eye contact has anything to do with the difficulty VR streamers have to build a genuine connection.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a lot of people, but I've been told that I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm relatable. Like people will come across me, watch me, and go, "He's just a normal guy," and it comes across, and they like that. Well, because I do try and be me. But
I think you are. I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, I just can't be bothered to be anything else. Just too lazy, I think, to do that kind of thing. It's just not worth it. But yeah, it's as I said, I love streaming virtual reality, and I do try my best to pay attention to the audience, and I do try my best to keep up to date with comments and stuff. But there's definitely extra effort. There's a lot of effort involved. There's a lot of setup, and there's a lot of effort throughout. You know, as when you're sitting here playing Lawnmower Simulator, and I'm just like, oh, my comments are here, you know, and it just feels so different. And I can't help but come away after doing those streams of non-VR and feel less exhausted. I feel like I've really put in a shift sometimes when I've done VR. And not only that, it is a shift because you're physically doing the actions as well. A lot of the games, you're not just sitting here in a comfy chair. You are jumping around and reloading, and you know, and your arms are always maybe up here, or whatever the game is, Beat Saber, for example, Thrill of the Fight,
Yes.
just things like that, you know.
Yeah.
Like what are your so you said you watch streamers. What's your like sort of favorite streamers and stuff?
So it's weird. Everyone's different, but I'm really enjoying watching people that I can find a reason to connect with. And this is gonna sound funny, but like something about a messy background and like disheveledness lately is really authentic, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's something because VR streamers and VR users in general, this is going to be a broad statement, but the level of like professionalism on like the degree of how good the content looks, and it's higher, I feel like, than where traditional gaming started. Like VR gamers have a lot more disposable income than I would say the average. Like the creator of VR is going to have a little more disposable income than a normal gamer. It just seems to be the case. Everything's more expensive and you need to put a lot more into it. Because of that, I see a lot more professional setups. It's really prim and proper. People really go well on quality, which is great. But there's something really lovable about a dirty piece of shit room that these guys are in. Like, I'm trying to think. One is, like, sadly, it's Bradley. I know he doesn't stream much, but sometimes his videos, like, there's stuff everywhere. He just did a tweet to clean up his room. I love it. Like, dude, you seem super real. There was a guy he still plays. I'm trying to think of his name. He's like one of the top population 1 streamers. He's one of the top population 1 players. He's super sweaty, kind of a dick sometimes. He just streams in this, like, it just looks like a 1-bedroom that I lived in, like, in my frat house, with like a mattress on the floor, Miller Lite cans. He's got like a tower beer, and he's just drinking. I love it. Like, dude, you're just streaming, drinking beer. Like, I'm really loving that because I can't connect with them through their eyes. Sometimes they're not even on camera. But something about this wholesomeness of just like figuring out tech problems and being like a bro or a bra for girls. I love it, man. It's this connection.
There's a lot that comes up with what you're saying, and sometimes I think I would be better off not being on camera. Sometimes I think, do I need to be on camera? Do I actually need to be on camera today? I don't know. So sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not going to be on camera today. No one ever lets me know what's better really on a video. But if I'm live streaming and I'm not on the camera, they'll go, why are you not on camera? And I'm like, I just don't want to be today. Like, but it's like you said, I would love, again, Lawnmower Simulator. I've got my little light there, camera there, jobs are good. I don't even green screen this. Like, as this is now, it's just, that's how it was. And when I first started doing videos, it would just be my wardrobes behind me.
Yeah.
That'd be it. You'd see my Oculus boxes and all that stuff. And I think you chase to be the best you can be. And maybe that isn't the best thing to do. That's
deep. I think about that too sometimes. Like, is the quest to be as proper a YouTuber as possible? And I don't think anyone's doing it on purpose, but you just see so many other people doing something that you naturally gravitate sometimes towards those. Like, if I take down this green screen I got behind me, it's just a closet. And numerous times I just wonder, would I be better off just with that background? Like I moved my room around so I had more space. And
that's interesting. You're doing the thing that you said you relate to not doing.
Yeah.
You are right.
I moved everything in this room. Like, I actually liked my backdrop, like when my desk was over there, but I moved it because the vent's now right underneath where I'm sitting, and it's actually tolerable sitting at this computer in this room now. But I think about it all the time, like, why am I trying this? This isn't even me. I am pretty disorganized. This room is a trash zone. That's me.
I don't think a green screen is too much. But I do know what you're saying. A little green screen thing isn't too bad. I know what you mean, yeah.
But when I stress out over the color correction, or I stress out over the lighting that might not be perfect, or like green fuzziness, why am I stressing over this? Why?
Yeah, I did what video did I do the other day? And I did that. There was a corner here that was showing my real room. There was a corner here. And I was just, it was Quake in VR. And I always do the checks. And for some reason, I don't know whether my camera had moved a little bit or the door had slammed or something and it had shifted. I was lucky I could edit it out. But part of me was like, I remember watching PewDiePie play Half-Life Alyx. He was nigh on see-through through the video where he'd fuck the chroma key up. It looked terrible. But I would just be like, I'm not too bothered. But I'd still want to watch it. I'm not that bothered about it because it's him.
He's still like that. He's still like that. His color scale is all the way off. His audio half the time just sounds like he's speaking on a mic from across the room. Yet I love it and I don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. So that's something I kind of learned to to love, and I try, just like you do probably, when I start getting over analytical of myself and complaining and color this, color that, just shut up, Eric. Just
would it be interesting what sort of content you would make if you never watched any other content? Where would you be?
Wow.
Where would you be and what would you be doing? Because as I said, when I started PSVR, I only started because I saw PSVR Frank. I didn't do what he did. He was like leaping in front of cameras with like a suit on, and I was like, what can I do? Like, what did I do? It was the share button on the PlayStation controller, and I just started finding glitches in games. And I thought it'd be quite funny to show some of these glitches where, because in VR I found it fascinating that I can cheat in a game, like put my head through a wall, and stuff, or like I just thought that was amazing because normally in games that wouldn't happen. So that was kind of where it all started, and I never thought any of this stuff would ever happen. Like I don't know, and I do wonder how much of it is molded by what's around me. You see someone else being successful at doing something, which is primarily what you're doing, but they've like expanded on it and they've added bits and they're doing this, and you know they've got the colourful mic and I don't know the Secret Labs chair and I don't know, you know, the energy drink. I don't know, whatever it is. But I'm not sure, because if I wasn't streaming, I'd still want this lovely chair. I don't know if I'd have the colourful mic, to be fair, but someone just said to me, get a HyperX mic, and it happened. I bought the colourful one. There's a red one as well. Yeah, it just makes you wonder. Like, do you ever watch Ben Plays VR?
Yeah, he was one of the first guys. Like, he got me into Skyrim VR. That's why I bought that.
Dude stands there in shorts in his kitchen.
Yep.
And I'm
webcam, it's like a C920, like non-HD camera. Like, he's just doing his thing.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. And I'm pretty sure I've seen comments where people are saying like they've seen his wife just walk in the kitchen behind him and start like washing up or cooking and say, now that I love. I think that is absolutely amazing. And the guy seems so genuine. And so that means a lot to me. And I just hope that people find me like that, because I am that. I just don't think enough people have ever found me, you know. But I am interested in that concept of how much, what I don't even know what I'm chasing. Do you know what I mean? You just think, I'll just do that. Green screen it does look more professional, but maybe that's what everyone's after.
I think that's the beauty of YouTube, though, is that you get, pending not doing something cancelable, which that's a whole different subject, you have unlimited fuck-ups with VR. Like, the platform's designed to not be perfect. Like, no one's asking for perfection. They're not going onto Netflix, clicking on something and expecting, like, if I go to Netflix and click on a movie, I'm expecting a certain level of production value from a Netflix original. If you go to YouTube, I do not have any expectations at all for any channel I go to the start. I just listen, and it's a relationship at that point. I'm looking for a relationship. What you give me from that, I don't know. I will figure it out if I like it or not. But at its core, every single VR content creator I speak with or watch, or any content that I watch, it's ultimately comes down to a relationship with that channel's content in one way.
Especially So I mean, Frank never did. I don't remember him doing many live streams for games. It's always videos, but I still felt that connection in some way. I don't know how to explain that, because in my mind, I think to myself, if I just did videos, I feel disconnected. I don't feel the connection, but maybe he wasn't looking for connection. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As me personally, I am looking for it as well. That's why I love live streaming. I love seeing the names and I love seeing the people. And that means, like, you know, when I put that little clip up, you mentioned Dreadhalls. I found it more fascinating going back to that video and looking at the comments and going, I remember that guy. Like, he was always, you know, and part of me thinks, I hope he's all right. Like, you don't know. Maybe you just thought, well, I don't want to watch him anymore. But part of me also thinks, I wonder if he's okay. Like, because you don't know in the world what happens to people and stuff, you know? So there's all sorts of bad stuff going on. So, but
I like when you bring it back to your roots. Looking at the time, though, I do like, and this is kind of putting you on the spot, I don't know if you've seen it in these episodes, but at the end, for the last question, I just really like to give the floor to whoever I'm with and to talk about whatever you want, any subject matter, and a good way to sign off with usually good vibes towards the end of this. So, on the spot, GT, I give you the floor for anything you want to go over.
Dude, I think we've covered so much stuff already.
We have.
I'm like, wow. What we've been going for an hour and a half. Got to be an hour and a half. We've covered analytics. We've covered a lot of the YouTube game. We've covered content creators, what got us into VR, where will we be now if we never? Oh, that's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna have to have a little drink tonight and ponder that question. That's probably the deepest thought of this whole talk.
Yeah.
Who would we be if we had never watched VR content before or even YouTube before we made our own?
Yeah, and I think some ways that's why some of the biggest channels do keep going, because, like as you said, Pewds, for example, I would say he's very individual. Like, I don't know what he's doing and what he's watching and stuff, and I don't actually watch many other streamers. Sorry, I haven't been well.
Okay.
I don't watch many other VR streamers. I watch a lot of the lesser known ones, because I feel that connection with them. You know, I feel like they're part of the community, or I've physically met them. They're the people I sort of hang out with. But yeah, that is interesting. We also went over VR accessories. I don't know if you gave me the floor. You have given me the floor. I don't know. I mean, I'm more. The only bit I can think of is, why don't you want a PS5? Like, in general, I know you said about time and stuff.
That's easy, man. It's time. It's all it is. Time and my interest. Like, I've got this PC, and I generally really like sitting down and playing a PC game. I've got my VR. I generally love.
What sort of games do you play non-VR then?
Way too many roguelikes. I'm just gonna be honest. It's like roguelike to roguelike to roguelike, and I can spend to get those true endings on these really difficult ones. I can put 100 hours into every single one. Like I went from Hades to Curse of the Dead Gods to Dead Cells. And if anyone knows all three of those games,
wow,
they're all quite hard, quite long if you're going for ultimate endings. So yeah. I just one to the next. But if I bought a console, like, I'm not gonna go buy more games. Like,
so why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do? You could have probably just recorded those games possibly and done a channel on roguelike playthroughs, because to be honest, those games like Hades, I fired up the other day because I love the art style, I love the music, I love the look at it. It is a stunning game.
Oh my god, dude, that music, what's her name, who plays music? It's like Officius or something like that. There's a couple songs that she had that if it came on while I was going through the world, I just kill the enemies and I just sat there for a second and had a bite to eat while I'm listening. Like, it was beautiful.
Music, man, I love gaming in general, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that'd been a great channel. You know, my son's really good at. He plays all like the Demon Souls and what's the other one?
Wow, why am I brain fart? Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and
Bloodborne. Yeah.
And then they got the what's the samurai one? I don't know why. Sekiro.
What's it called?
Sekiro.
Yeah.
Which I own. Never could get past. It's so hard. I haven't got.
So he will complete all those games, like, and when I speak to him about them, he's just like it's nothing, and I'm just like, that to me will be watchable content, because it's something I can't necessarily put the time into do myself. So, yeah.
Oh man, the ever long journey and chase to find content that is not only fun to us, but people actually will watch. That is why, yeah. That we'll never figure out. It just happens. It just seems to happen for everybody.
Yeah, that's what. That is why I love doing VR though. Like, I'm never gonna not do VR. It's the only thing that really got me back into gaming was virtual reality. I was getting to a point where I was a little bit bored. So when VR come along, it just shocked me. I was like, this is incredible. And I really believe, and I still believe, it's still got its time to come. I know the Quest is amazing, but I still think a lot of people jump in and go, wow, and then back out again. You know, I still think that, I do think the PSVR 2 is going to have a heavy hit.
I really do. I think so too. And I'll end it with this kind of thought too, where when it comes to like VR, like, we love it. It can be in its lulls and it can have its ups and downs. At the end of the day, I talk to a lot of developers about this, especially ones with multiplayer games. I'm like, just keep it alive. That's all. Don't worry about it right now. Just get the core base so good, get the gameplay good, get the skeleton of your experience perfect. VR is like one TikTok trend away from being, like, anything could be, doesn't mean to be VR. Anything could be one trend away from notoriety. Like, all of a sudden tomorrow, you could have top 10 TikTok influencers all pick up VR, and now it's a big thing.
Yeah.
We don't know. So I think everyone who's in VR right now. Just have fun. Go ahead.
At that point, I'll be overlooked and forgotten about, though. That's the thing. Like I'd have put all these years in, and they'd be like, "Oh, bloody Markiplier's now doing permanent VR," and they'd be like, "Yeah, we don't need to watch GT anymore." And I'll be like, "Oh."
There's room for everyone, but it could go big any second. Enjoy it while you have it, and that's all we can do right now. But
yeah.
Gamertag, I appreciate you joining me. Anyone who wants to know more, see Gamertag's comment. It's pretty easy. That'll be in the video description, or type in his name in the search bar. It's guaranteed to come up. It's pretty simple.
I am everywhere, pretty much. But dude, thank you ever so much for this. It's been a real genuine conversation, which has been awesome. And for anyone watching at home, Eric said to me, I've got a couple of things to talk about, but otherwise it is just open. And
That's it.
From doing a podcast, there isn't too many people who just will agree to that, because it could be anything, you know? So thank you.
Absolutely. If you want to catch anything here, I know an hour can be a little bit long. Clips will be on Eric for Present clips throughout this week over the next couple days. With that, again, GT, thank you. And as always, everybody, see you next time, Space Cowboys. Peace.
Bye-bye.